All right. Good evening, everyone. Grab a seat, mute your phones. We're going to get started here. Welcome to A2 New Tech. I'm Brian Kelly, your monthly host of this fine event. Who's here for the first time this evening? Welcome, first-timers. Love to see it. Is anyone out at any of the events last week, such as the ones at TechArb or at Spark? We had a bunch of awesome startup stuff going on last week. Paul saying an angel investor was in town. I hope you made it out to some of those. It was a lot of fun. Thanks everyone who made it out. So yeah, I've been your host here since 2015. This has been running much longer than that though. Since 2009, we've had over 100 meetups, over 300 companies have pitched, and we are almost crossing that 6,000 member mark. 5976 members in our meetup group, 185 RSVP tonight. So this is everyone in the community who is either running a startup, is startup curious, is a developer, is maybe just working in a non-startup company but is interested in what it's all about. This is our once a month event where you get to hear from 4 to 5 new startups pitch their company in 5 minutes or less. I keep them on a timer to keep them honest. And you get to ask any questions of these startups. And it's we created this event. It was originally launched by a handful of people, including this guy down here and Doug Song and a number of others who said, hey, it's great that we're in Ann Arbor and this is a really supportive community for entrepreneurs, but it would be even better if we all knew where to meet each other at least once a month. And so that's what A2 New Tech's all about. Other than enjoying the pitches tonight, if you do one thing, meet one interesting person that you exchange contact info with. Whether you're looking for a co-founder, developer, user, customer, feedback, you're bound to find, investor, forgot to mention that. You're bound to find that person here or 1 degree of separation from that role. Okay, so I mentioned Paul's events. I don't usually wear tie-dye. Some of you may have noticed that. So a friend of mine had a tie-dye party this weekend, and I tie-dyed for the first time. But I have even a more fun story about this shirt. So this originally was Squid versus Whale white t-shirt from Threadless. Who knows Threadless, the website? Who's heard of that? Okay, I've never bought anything from Threadless before, but while I worked for Duo Security, this is back 2012, they were an early customer who had just purchased our competitor's product. And the IT guy there, who was just dying to deploy Duo instead of the other guy, said, I can't do anything, we just made this purchase. And we said, hey, if you give us rights to do a video, which you can go see on duo.com, Tristan, shout out to Tristan for doing that video, and we'll hook you guys up. We'll basically give you free product for like 1,000 users for a couple years. This is what you do in early days of startups. You get those marquee customer logos, but they were so gracious for that they sent us boxes of t-shirts. This is one that I got, so it was fun coming full circle this evening. Just a bunch of, I want to say a couple thank yous. So the Entrepreneurship Clinic at the U of M Law School, they host us every month. They rock. Dana Thompson is the director of that group. They also, sometimes their student clinic comes here and they will give actually free legal advice to startups that are based in Michigan. So take advantage of that. A2 Geeks. A2 Geeks is a nonprofit dedicated to making Southeast Michigan and Ann Arbor a great place for geeks, creatives, and creatives to live, work, and play. Roger Rail, down here in front, Roger Rail on the multi-cameras. Roger donates his time and energy and talent every month to bring us a live stream of this, and we almost have every single A2 New Tech archived. Just search it as one word, A2 New Tech on YouTube, and share a pitch you thought was great, or for anyone pitching tonight, send it to mom and dad. I think it's good fun. I don't do this alone, so I'm one of the organizers with a team, and Doug Song, Zach Steinler, Scott Goshi, David Bloom. There's a whole group of people here that make this happen every every month. And if you want to pitch your company after seeing this or know someone that should, email organizers@atnewtech.org. We meet the third Tuesday every month. I'm booked up for next month. I'll make an announcement about that later, but starting in October, we have room for pitches. We always go to Pizza House after this, so people mingle around for a while, but then we'll make ourselves go a few blocks away, Pizza House, Ann Arbor Spark, hooking it up with pizza again. So this is like month 4 or 5, so come on over and have a few slices on Ann Arbor Spark, which is an organization in town that's committed to bringing together organizations and individuals to support the growth of companies and creation of jobs. I would usually say look for Ben or Phil, but they're remote, so I'm just going to take a picture of y'all to see who's coming to pizza, so we have a head count a little bit later. So our agenda will run till about 8 p.m. We got here a little bit before that. As I mentioned, tonight we have 4 companies, all from the TechArb Student Accelerator, which you're also, for normally our 5th slot, we'll get to hear a little bit about TechArb for those of you who have never heard of it. So you get a little overview of that. Each of these companies will pitch for 5 minutes, and then think about your questions, and we'll do 5 minutes of Q&A after each of the pitches. We also always make time for community announcements. So whose company is hiring right now? I forgot to ask this earlier. All right, a few hands going up. Who might be in the market to look for a job? Okay, you're a little shyer, that's all right. If you have a job to pitch at the end, or you want to pitch yourself, everything's welcome. Be as self-advertising as you would like. If you have another meetup, if you are looking for a co-founder, just keep it to 60 seconds, and we'll do that after all of the pitches tonight. Brian's podcast recommendations. So I just came across one at the end of the week, this past week. It's called Spartan Up. I know, nothing to do with the other school in the state, but it was created by the guy Joe De Sena, who created the Spartan race. I don't know, this is like some anyone know what Spartan race is? It's some like ultra marathoner kind of thing. Anyway, check out episode 155. I'm a super fan of Naval, the founder of AngelList, and he just drops all kinds of life and career knowledge about what's the difference between happiness and pleasure, and what should you be seeking for in your career, etc. So Spartan Up is the podcast, episode 155. Check that out. And I really not get any kickbacks from Breaker, but I plug this podcast out every month because somebody is finally figuring out social and podcast. Check out the app Breaker. It's only on iOS, sorry, Android people. And I'm BK on there, so you can see everything I listen to and everything I like. We also have a Slack group, and it's go to madeina2.com/Slack. Also, just check out madeina2.com if you're looking for other meetups, you want to know what companies are in town. It's just like a community-owned resource. If you think there's something that should be on there that's not, send us a pull request on GitHub and we'll merge it on in. All right, silence your phones. If you tweet or Instagram or Facebook or whatever, use hashtag A2, the number 2, New Tech. And we're going to kick it off with our first presenter tonight. I'd like to welcome Kenny down from Caravan. Caravan is a software platform that makes it easy for nonprofit managers to share underutilized vehicles. Let's give Kenny a warm welcome.
We're usually more prepared than this, but oh no.
Give it a sec, it'll come up. I'm not confident, all right. Just walk away.
There we go.
Right. Good.
So, hi, I'm Kenny. I'm the co-founder of Caravan, and as Brian said, it's a platform that makes it easy for nonprofit managers to share underutilized vehicles. Throughout our customer discovery, basically what we've learned is nonprofits face 2 problems. They either own a vehicle that sits underutilized 96% of the time, so they're using it 4 hours a day, or they don't own a vehicle, and they use the outdated car rental model to get one. And so they pay $150 an hour to use it, and there's a minimum 1-day rental. And then meanwhile, they also spend 2 to 6 hours searching for that vehicle or coordinating that trip. And these are executive directors. They make anywhere from $50,000 to $200,000 a year. They don't want to be doing this. They want to be moving therapists, spending time improving their programming and growing the program. Currently, they solve it in semi-creative ways. Either they limit the number of trips per month, they ask their friends to drive, or they co-program with someone that does own a vehicle, or they just go without. The problem with going without is when a nonprofit goes without a program, it means people who are low income aren't getting to jobs. It means that elderly residents of Detroit are living in social isolation. We met one woman named Jocelyn who hasn't been to the Detroit riverfront in 2 years. Or it means youth aren't getting to and from development services, after school programs, so they're staying at home. This has negative effects socially and economically on their lives, and so it's a big problem we're trying to solve. So we should Uberize it, right? We should make an Uber for all these purposes. No, absolutely not. The reason is because once you become good at one segment, it's difficult to include other customer segments in that way. So we thought, well, let's make a win-win transaction. Let's let the folks who own vehicles rent from those, strike that, reverse it. Let's make the folks who don't own vehicles rent from those who do. And rather than being available 9 to 5, the vehicles can be available 24/7. And so that way, so it becomes our job to keep a vehicle busy throughout the day, whether it's at midnight for workforce development trips during off-peak hours, whether it's after-school programs, or it's in the morning. Like next week, we're going on a trip to ride the Q line with the elderly residents of Oakland Manor. And I know Claire's very excited about that for product development skills. So it's 1 to 2 hour trips for 5 to 15 passengers. You need 5 to 15 passengers because it's a lower income population, so you need a lot of people in the vehicle so they can pay. What does the product look like? Like this. It's us right now, so we're a lean startup. Steve Sherman, I know he's thinking, thank God, in his head we shouldn't have anything built right now because we want to prove demand and we want to prove these processes before we build it. We have some sketches, but we're not quite ready to say this is what it looks like. So this is actually who'll be running it. And through a combination of professional and personal experience, we're the right team to do this. From what our degrees are in, whether it's Master of Public Policy in Civil Engineering, to School of Natural Resources, my experience as a civil engineer in Afghanistan, Ben's experience as a Peace Corps volunteer in Ethiopia, that allows us to talk across the stakeholders and coordinate these complex ecosystems and these complex activities. And whether it's personal experience with me and Claire, I'm a half first generation American, my mother's from El Salvador. I grew up low income. Claire grew up in Georgia after emigrating from Korea, and so we can even relate to this on a personal level. Traction to date, we've done about 150 to 200 customer discovery interviews. We have 4 prototyping partners identified, 2 nonprofits with operating revenue from $25 to $50 million to help us absorb and learn some of these early costs. And then we have done accelerators, which any good early stage startup should do. So we started while we were students in the Go Detroit Challenge. We placed second. Then we went to Next Energy's I-Corps program until we got into TechArb. And then I'm most excited about this because this is through the Florida Resource Engagement Center, and it's an accelerator that focuses on social enterprises in Detroit neighborhoods, which that's exactly what we are. So it starts this Friday, so we'll be doubling up a bit. And actually, what's great about these is they fit within our KPIs for early stage startups. We're looking for piloting money. We're looking for partnerships. We can't go into a Detroit neighborhood alone and say, hey, we're here, we're ready to solve everything. The 4 prototyping partners have been working on transportation issues for decades. And so disrupting that model, you're not going to create an opportunity, you're going to sabotage yourself. So that's why we start this way. Over the next 3 months, over the next steps, 3 things we have to test. Supply side, how many rentable vehicles exist in this ecosystem? Demand side, we've been testing what types of trips fit this model. It's the 1 to 2 hour, 5 to 15 passenger. And then operations, what happens during a trip? Do people expect the car to be delivered? Do they want to go get it themselves? How does it get returned? Things like that. And finally, what we need, coffee, community conversation. It's hard to be an entrepreneur, to be lonely. There's lots of ups and downs. I know those of us in the room who are entrepreneurs know it. We're a social enterprise, so we need social impact investors. Any introductions on that would be great. And then the organizations that are working on these issues already, so we can collaborate with them. Thank you.
So if you would, raise your hand and stand up when you can ask when you have a question. Who would like to kick it off this evening? Right down here.
Is Caravan non-profit? For-profit? How do you make money?
Yep, so Caravan charges a brokerage fee for these trips, so whenever the connection's made, we take a percentage of that fee, the total transaction cost. Are we non-profit or for-profit? We want to be for-profit, and I think we, at this point, need to see what data comes out of pilots. Our projections show that we can be for-profit, but I want to test those before we make a decision. So.
Good answer.
Do you be all online, or will you have to have like key boxes or lock boxes, any type of physical capital?
So right now, I think it's going to be all online. It'll probably be a web-based application as we do build it out, because those are accessible locations across the city, whether it's a library, whether it's a nonprofit center where people are going already for services, or somewhere else. So that's the plan.
I guess extending on that, you mentioned that some of the vehicles would be rented in the middle of the night. Who's responsible for, coordinating that logistical?
That's an excellent question, and I hope I have an answer to that in a couple weeks. We've seen some people do it where they will legit just wake up in the middle of the night and get the car and make it happen. That's a little bit of a harder one, though. We know there's a large group of people taking 1 to 2 hour bus rides to get to job centers in the middle of the night. So yeah, I don't know yet. That's something we have to test. In the early stages, it might be new. So that's why we need coffee. I knew there was a question there.
Based upon the experience of Uber and Lyft and Airbnb with rentals and insurance, anything that you're planning to do based upon that?
Yes, so we are going to, so luckily, a couple things. We have a lot of good mentors at Ford Motor Company and Lyft, and so we asked them about this. What we need, and actually funny, you think the answer would come from there. It actually came from my co-founder's brother-in-law, but that's where it is. He's an insurance agent, and he said we need extended ownership insurance, basically, and it covers the vehicle while it's in use. So that alleviates us from having to pay for things like where's the vehicle housed? In Detroit, it's about $3,400 on average for insurance, $1,200 of which I believe is for theft. So it alleviates that from us. These range from $3,000. These policies are $3,000 to $10,000 a year. But insurance companies are still kind of figuring this out too, because one thing we learned is that physical damages aren't covered for trips under this policy. And that kind of falls through the cracks on everybody's policy if you use it as a transportation network company. So even when you're in an Uber, physical damage isn't covered on a trip. So it's kind of scary actually. But that's a great question. We have 1 minute and 54 seconds.
What's that?
Say
Grill him, Steve.
Maybe tell us about your upcoming experiment you're running. You talked about it a little bit in the pitch, but I kind of want to hear more.
Yeah. So what we learned. So I talked with Josh Cohen at Transload about this. He's their director of strategy. Actually talked about the hypothesis that we came up with. He said it was originally, can we get a transaction to occur where we match a peer-to-peer car sharing transaction? But what we realized is that contains too many hypotheses within it, which I think was coming across in Adam Burke's colleagues. That's a little inside knowledge, so we don't understand the words. And so we broke it up into these 3. Basically, supply side, we want to call folks, introduce yourselves as we're working with Matrix Human Services and Focus Hope, and say, do you have a vehicle you'd be willing to rent and list when we launch? And get a yes or no as a quick test, just to see, is there a supply out there, or do vehicles have to come from somewhere else? Demand side, with trips, that's what we're doing. I was at a meeting today with Matrix Human Services last week with Focus Hope saying, okay, well, do these trips fit the mold? Yes, thank goodness, that's why you do customer discovery. We already knew they would say yes, so that's good. And then the operations, can we just tag along? Can we volunteer with your organization and go on one of these trips? The beautiful thing about all these tests is they cost $0 to learn. So that's kind of the hypothesis for testing. I'll have that data trail for it. I know it's slow. Steve.
Great. That's about all time we have for questions. All right, moving right along. We had a change in the second one. So Flo from Dear Black Women is not here tonight, but we have Maya Faulstich from Kulisha. And this is a pretty interesting company. So Kulisha converts food waste into sustainable insect protein for use in animal feed. Yeah, you heard all that right. No software here. So I'd like to welcome Maya down to tell us about Kulisha.
Hi, good evening. So you heard that right. We are bug farmers. We convert organic waste that would otherwise be sent to landfill into a sustainable insect protein that can then be used in animal feeds. So some of you may have heard of this statistic. 40% of food generated in the US never makes it towards its intended consumers. This happens all along the food supply chain, from restaurants, supermarkets, processors, all the way to residences. In fact, 28% of the municipal solid waste stream consists of this sort of organic waste. We want to decrease this number and recycle it, reutilize its nutrients, putting it back into our food systems. Then at the same time, we address a totally separate issue, overfishing. According to the FAO, 90% of our fisheries are currently exploited, overexploited, or collapsed. And a big reason for this is because 1/4 of wild-caught fish goes towards the production of animal feeds. So we're going into the ocean, catching small fish like anchovies, sardines, herring, grinding them up, and then using that to feed higher valued farmed animals like chickens, farmed fish, swine, even cows. There's a 1/4. Our solution is this. This is a retrofitted shipping container that grows bugs. We take food as an input and then use a particular type of insect that consumes the organic waste. The larvae are then harvested and used as a protein base for animal feeds. Our customers are composters. Composters who are already dealing with organic matter, but who aren't yet taking in food waste. So there are about 180 composters all over Michigan, but only 8 of them deal with food waste, like kitchen scraps. Most of them are only dealing with yard waste, leaf sticks. It smells less, it's not as heavy, it's just way easier to deal with. We vastly simplify the process of dealing with food waste and cut down composting time from 9 to 12 months to a mere 2 weeks. A little bit more about this insect. It decreases the volume of organic waste by 90%. It consumes organic waste for about 2 weeks, rapidly growing. And then the larvae themselves are rich in amino acids, all the key components needed for animal growth. They're really high in protein, have carbohydrates, fats, all sorts of good stuff. They're also not invasive and are not vectors for disease. And just about a year ago, they were approved for commercial sale in North America. The markets we work in are twofold. First, on the waste disposal side, it's sized about $8 billion worldwide. And then we're in the commodity protein side, which is about $4 billion. Initially, our target customers for the protein side will be small-scale backyard chicken farmers. This is about a $100 million market in the US. So our price structure is a little bit complex. We offer composters this container, flat fee of $10,000 for the installment and construction costs. We then retain rights to the protein that's produced on the other side and sell them retail for about $35,000 per ton. In addition, the byproduct of the whole process is a fertilizer. So the insect's poop is actually a high-quality fertilizer. This is a mock-up of our initial product called Edibugs. We're marketing towards urban, small-scale chicken farmers, which is a really quickly growing market. People who want to have between 2 and 10 chickens in their backyards, mostly for eggs. They tend to be environmentally conscious and treat their chickens more as pets than as livestock, so they're the perfect fit for this product. As for the team, my name is Maya. I am a student at Brown University with 1 semester left. I study environmental studies. Eric is my co-founder, just graduated from Ross, and Raj is also just graduated from Brown in environmental studies. Additionally, we're joined by our research and development team by Matteo, who's an engineer, and Elias and Mehmet, who are working on a pre-treatment process for the organic waste, stabilizing it and making sure that more of it is digestible by the insects. So far, in the 2 years since we've founded, we've raised about $250,000 of non-dilutive funding. We've built 2 prototype facilities for research, and very exciting, just this summer, we put up our first commercial scale facility at the Mathai Botanical Gardens. What's next? In November, we're looking to begin sales at a retail store, Dexter Feed Mill over in Dexter. And then beginning in January, we'll be working with our first composter to put up a real facility, get some working knowledge of what it is to work with food waste. And I'll take any questions you have. Thank you.
She really paid attention to that timer counting down. So, questions? Fire away. Down here in the front.
So, makes perfect sense as to why you're starting out with the local chicken farmers. What's kind of like the best case scenario, and what's like a viable scenario in terms of how that pilot customer base goes?
Right, so a huge reason why we're starting out with this market is because we can achieve huge margins. They could pay up to $16 per pound for this product, and they already do with Mealworms, which is our primary competitor. Down the line, we are looking to get into bulk commodity protein, so selling directly to feed millers who are producing animal feed at scale. So this would go from being just the insect alone as a treat to a protein base in commercial feeds.
What happens in the winter? Do the larvae still do their thing?
They do, yeah.
Okay.
So we do expect that electricity costs will be up there in terms of our operational costs, but the larvae generate a lot of their own heat. So they have rapid metabolisms. As they consume the waste, they're generating a lot of heat, which would bring down those costs.
What are the changeover costs if you're a feed manufacturer to go from whatever their fish protein is to the bug protein?
So very little, actually. Once we anticipate that once we have production going, you can separate, once you have the insect, you can extract the oil, you can separate the protein, so you really just have pure protein, and that can be substituted on a one-for-one basis with fish meal. So that's why we're starting with composters. So we don't want to get into separating plastic from aluminum from all sorts of other things. There are very high-tech fancy machines that do that, and down the line we'd be looking into that. But we do want to start with, so say the city of Ann Arbor just started composting a few years ago, start with a waste stream that is just food waste.
What kind of quality control measures do you have to monitor the health of the insects, for example?
So I'll go back to, within each growing unit in the container, we have sensors. So you can see in the orange, that's where the larvae live. And so we'll have temperature sensors, humidity sensors, and all of those should stay within a certain range. The end goal is that this will be a fully automated container, so requiring very little labor. The larva food will come in, and insect protein will come out.
Do you have any intellectual property involved in your process?
Currently we don't. We do expect that the goal is that once this is fully developed, that it will be patentable.
What's your ask from this group? Are you raising money? Are you looking for any particular help on the team?
Yeah, we would love, as you probably can notice, it's a fairly complex business model where we have B2B on one side and B2C on the other. We'd love advice on how to move forward with customer discovery, how to continue customer research on both sides. And on the other hand, if you own chickens, I'd love to talk to you and hear about your experiences.
Yeah, customers.
I got 24, by the way.
24 chickens, nice.
So can you tell us about your competitors?
Absolutely. So on the black soldier fly side, there are a handful, probably 6 or 7 huge black soldier fly companies scattered all over the world. And they take a very different approach. They have a centralized facility, and they act as waste managers. So they go around collecting waste from municipalities, from huge producers, bring it to this one centralized facility, and have all their operations there. We're interested in having this sleek, modular, decentralized strategy where we take the solution to composters so they can then receive more food waste.
Question over here.
For something like this, if you say you're doing it for like domestic chickens, what about like cats and dogs and things like that and selling to that market?
Absolutely, yeah. We're already looking into, there's a fairly large, who would have known, like bearded dragon, like lizard market, and they love this type of insect. So we're looking to get into that, and then down the line it can be used in virtually any type of animal feed.
Faulstich? It's not creepy?
Good question.
All right, final question.
Is there any governmental institution that's watching you closely for something you may do wrong?
So currently, the use of insects in animal feed is governed by the FDA, and we can't, I guess the reason we can't start off with cat and dog feed right now is because insects are only allowed in salmonid feed, so members of the salmon family. We expect that this, it's pretty antiquated legislation. There are a lot of huge players waiting for that to change, so we expect that the legislation will loosen up in a few years. The reason we can sell it as a chicken treat is because there's a distinction between treat and feed, and so it's like, right, it comes down to wording. But we expect that that will be a huge hurdle moving forward.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, moving right along. We have Joey from Hotspot is our next pitch. Hotspot is developing proprietary methods to incorporate smart materials in products that will ultimately reduce the incidence. Did I get that right? Incidence. Yeah, no words. Incidence of ulcer development in patient populations. So lots of interesting stuff today. I'm going to help you. Take it away.
All right. So, as Brian was saying, so I'm Joey, one of the co-founders of Hotspot. Hotspot is working to make temperature-responsive fabrics to help these patients monitor ulcer development. Looking specifically at type 2 diabetics, about 1/4 of these diabetic patients are affected by something called diabetic neuropathy, which is a loss of feeling in their feet. And this makes them not able to notice any of the discomfort or the pain that we might feel in their feet from just day-to-day life. And this can form damage and ulcers that could get infected and need to be amputated. The current standard of care for this is purchasing diabetic shoes, going to see a podiatrist to check your feet, or performing frequent home checks. These typically fail because it can be expensive and time-consuming, as well as the additional ailment of diabetic retinopathy, which, to sum it up, these patients can't actually see or distinguish between certain flesh colors where you might be able to notice that it is obviously an ulcer, they just can't see it. So, put simply, these patients want a simple and affordable way to know when they're hurting. And that's where we come in with our first product, the Hotspot Sock, giving these patients an early detection tool to know when they are hurting and how bad it's getting. There are existing solutions currently on the market to actually solve this problem, and they range from infrared thermometers to temperature sensing floor mats to electronic smart socks. And getting into what we're actually doing with Hotspot, trying to borrow from sort of their model, we're trying to make the sock actually do the feeling for these patients. And the patients would wear the sock once or twice a week. There's a temperature that is translating to a color appearing on the sock, on their sole, and the patient would be able to establish a baseline color and check over a course of weeks looking for any change in color. This can improve on the current home check strategies, and it ultimately will save money for both doctors and patients alike and make these frequent podiatry checkups a little more unnecessary. Just to show you what we've actually made ourselves, this is our prototype. It's a sock and we're warming it with a hairdryer. The baseline color, or for example, the baseline color that a patient might have when using this version of the prototype, it would be black to start, then it could turn yellow at this 88-degree threshold, and then it's actually an alternating between yellow and pink, so not all of them are the same. They're both black to start. One turns yellow, the other turns pink at the 99-degree threshold. Now we're going to compare our Hotspot sock using certain benchmarks that we've gotten from customer discovery to know what patients actually want from our product to solve this. And we know that they want it to be inexpensive, simple and fast to use, not require a smartphone, if it's easy to see. And with the model we're trying to use to make these Hotspot socks, we've actually been able to hit all four of those, making it simple, not reliant on technology, and less finicky without electronics. Just to show you our team, it's a big group, and we have materials engineers. I'm actually an undergrad in materials science myself, turned entrepreneur just about 2 months ago, honestly. And we have med students on the team. We have a vascular surgeon. So we have a lot of unique perspectives and expertise going into this to actually figure out what the problem really is and how we can find the people to talk to. That being said, our timeline, we made the prototype back in March. Hotspot was actually founded just a few months ago in June to join TechArb. And then as of now, we've performed 33 customer discovery interviews, and it's really helped us nail down what these patients actually go through and what doctors would like to see to improve their care. Next steps for Hotspot would be we want to file a provisional patent. We'd love to connect to investors and manufacturers for any sort of mentorship. We're still learning plenty, and we'd love to refine our prototype, honestly. We need to really kind of narrow down the temperature ranges. We'd love to get more colors on the socks, maybe find a better material to actually coat the sock itself. And as for what we are asking, we just want more connections. If you know any patients suffering from neuropathy, we'd love to talk to them, hear their stories. If you know any investors in the medical space that could tell us what we need to actually get to that step of getting funding from people like them, or anyone just in the relevant distribution channels. We're currently talking to people, store managers and merchandising managers through retail. And yeah, and also just follow us. Our social media is up and running. Throw us a follow or like. And thank you. I'll open it up to questions.
What's your go-to-market? Where do people get socks? If you're diabetic and you have foot ulcers, where are you getting your socks now?
Yeah, it's interesting. We want to be a B2C to start because we know we're actually borrowing from those existing solutions. They've gone to market as health and wellness devices and avoided regulation, which can be pretty complicated with dealing with these patients. So we'd like to launch as B2C, going straight to retail like Walgreens, CVS, pharmacies, and other health and wellness stores. But later on, I know the medical team would love to get it in hospitals itself, which could be a B2B. But that's later on. Sure.
So, I don't know if you are the clinical person, but I have a couple of questions. It's great that we have these diseases and we keep on selling remedies which don't cure lifelong, and it's good for profit, including insulin. But the real thing is it would be nice to target the cure or prevention. And there are studies going on for this as well as some stuff. Now the other question I had was it doesn't address the touch component, just the heat component that you have addressed, right? The socks.
Correct. Talking about the difference between pressure and temperature.
Pressure and temperature, yes, and many other sensations actually. Then, so
try to address that. A lot of these products, including ours, is using temperature because it's a relative change, and not everyone is going to have the same temperature in their feet. So it's really just you're looking for a change, and that's how you can tell when something's going wrong. Is that answering it? We can also talk.
Yeah, sure, we can talk more. Yes.
All the way from that.
My question was the Polymetrics came with that smart mat. They came with multi-center, large study, 34-week long, and they proved the effectiveness of using that. And in your strengths, you showed that you don't need a smartphone or something. But isn't that a weakness rather than an asset that your SOC doesn't transmit so that somebody can monitor and prevent and act and do that? The other thing is, how do you, what's the cost difference between the mat and the SOC? And the other thing is that...
two questions.
Yeah.
So the first question is on connected SOC or standalone SOC.
Right, so we're mostly basing that off of our experience with customer discovery, and a lot of the people, they could be elderly, middle-aged, or older, and they don't want to use the technology aspect. We could obviously include it, it's in the back of our minds that we could make an app and accompany it with the SOC, but with right now, we're going technology free. And that also fits with our expertise as materials engineers.
Second question, I think I remember it, was competitiveness to the mats. And cost, yeah. Can you comment on?
So I know the mats are up to $100 in some cases right now. We're looking to maybe sell around $15 to $20.
And is it like performance-wise similar to, I don't know what the mats are, but you're referring to, I don't know if there's like a mat that you stand on.
Yeah, I guess I might have to talk to you afterwards about this.
Somebody knows this space. Other questions right here?
So real quick, I mean, theoretically the socks are going to be reusable, right? It's not a one-time use. What happens when you wash and dry them?
We've actually done that testing for validation, and it does still work after going through washer and dry conditions.
Does have you looked at how insurance plays into this at all? Like maybe you could charge higher price if insurance is reimbursing it versus direct to consumer that may not be willing to pay as much even if the benefits are there.
Right, and that would be through going through the hospital route. Speaking to doctors, they can't particularly nail down what would be covered by insurance. Just in their experience, they've told us not to worry about it. And I know if we have to really just prove that we have a true benefit to the hospital, so that's all I can say.
You talk to people in the insurance space about it?
No, not yet.
You guys want customer first, right? Customer.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have for questions here. Thanks so much.
It's interesting to see all the material science type startups that come out. We actually see a fair amount of them. It's not just software. I love to see it. Next up, we have Murari from Infinity, and Infinity combats labor fatigue through an affordable, light, and robust exoskeleton that lends lower body support to workers in the manufacturing industry. So moving right along, and another health product. You're good to go.
Okay.
All right, take it away.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Murari. I'm one of the co-founders of Team Infinity. We are currently working on an ergonomic assist device to support lower body support for the workers in the manufacturing industry. So what's the big problem? Nearly $100 billion is being lost due to lower back pain costs in the manufacturing industry currently every year in the United States. And for 100 employees, the total cost sums up to $34,600. So what's the cost of absenteeism due to back pain? Around $23 billion. And around people who have back pain issues take 4 more days extra, they get absenteeism other than the normal worker. So we have a big problem in hand. So why is it being cost? So it's mainly due to awkward postures, lifting, bending, standing in their feet for a long duration, 10 to 15 hours, long work hours, abnormal anthropometry, they're too tall, they're too short. Some people are very aged, they're getting aged, so back pain is caused. So what are the current solutions, or how is it even being tackled? So mainly the manager's perspective, they try to rotate jobs so that the workers aren't fatigued. They try to have chairs or stools in the manufacturing industry. They also have rubber mats, and ideally some workers even do exercises, which make them physically fit. So what's our user persona? Let's make it a bit fun. So Greg here is Greg. He works in a manufacturing company. He works for manufacturing precision tools. So his work time is around 10 hours and his age is around 45. He's feeling tired in the evenings and he's not able to spend time with his family. So we need to solve his problem. So what's his current tension? He has decreased work efficiency, he has numbness in his feet, he has decreased maneuverability, and he has a lot of psychological fatigue due to back pain issues. So what is his aspiration? So he wants to feel like he wants to float in water while he's working. So which is a, oh my God statement. Okay, so where we come in? What's our value proposition as Infinity? We share his load by transferring his body weight to the ground with a unique ergonomic assist device. We increase his worker well-being and employee morale, which automatically increases, I cannot say increases, but maintains the constant productivity in the manufacturing industry. And finally, it reduces medical compensation costs. So this is version 1. Infinity version 1, where we are trying to bring out a ergonomic assist device where we can strap on for the workers to lend lower body support. So this is a mechanism, this is a product, it's a technology where it has a pneumatic damper, where the worker can lean on the device. This is a small scale manufacturing industry worker actually performing grinding with our device. So he can just lean on the device while he's working, which gives him a more comfortable posture. So he is able to transfer his body weight to the ground. So ideally, we are increasing his employee morale. So where we fit in, where we are and who are our competitors. Our competitors are basically Sutex, Lockheed Martin, Nooney. So all these competitors are trying to manufacture complex mechatronic systems, mechatronic exoskeletons, which are not feasible for the common worker. So where we fit in, or where we see is a gap in the market, is trying to bring out an affordable device and also minimizing the fatigue of the worker. So what's our market size? Approximately around there are 26,540 machinists in Michigan alone, and with penetration and adoption rate, we estimate around we can capture around 5,000 people in Michigan alone. And when we start to scale around the United States and globally, we expect a bigger market. So what's a business model? It's a B2B business model. We need to contact small scale manufacturing industries and large scale firms directly, but the end user is a worker in the manufacturing industry. So this is our selling price initially, $240. It was found according to willingness to pay of the customer, and these are different revenue streams through which we will be driving revenue into the company. So we are also trying to create profits through R&D diversification for other jobs like lifting and other capabilities, so that we maintain a different revenue stream throughout the company. So what's a market plan? So currently we are trying to get early adopters, trying to sell 10 devices, get some initial feedback, use it pilot testing, and then initially with some funding, we'll be able to capture 100, we'll be able to sell 100 devices, and then ideally we are targeting in 2 years to sell 1,000 devices throughout the country. So this is our strategy through manufacturing consortiums, through industry influencers, strategic partnerships through our mentor network, and direct sales. So consortiums like NCMS, ergonomics conferences, large-scale automotive firms through our mentor network, and direct sales through plant managers is our go-to-market strategy. So this is our timeline, and currently we are at TechArb. So here we've conducted around 40 stakeholder interviews. We've already contacted the facilities and operations department at UFM in order to implement our device and take some initial pilot testing. We've also talked to NCMS, which is the consortium we've established industry relationships, and we've also initiated a conversation with the mass manufacturing industry. So this is our team. We are diverse in our skill set. We have data analysts, we have engineering experts, product design guys, and we also have people who are good in marketing. So we have a diverse team. Five of us here are in University of Michigan, and 3 of them are working in India. So we are a global team, and we are set to solve big problems. So what are our asks to this audience? It's nothing but we need more contacts with plant managers, safety managers, and purchase managers, so that we know a strong willingness to pay, and pricing is a crucial market for the exoskeleton industry. And we'll also like to talk to risk management people, and if we'd love to talk to early adopters or small scale industry people, so that we can have a partnership and start doing some pilot tests. And finally, anyone who's good in commercializing ergonomics products, we'd love to have a conversation, or anyone who's love to talk about biomechanics in general, come and ping us. Yeah, this is our page. Please follow us. Yeah, thank you.
Very cool. Questions for the exoskeleton expert? Right here.
So one of the awesome things about your product is that it's simple, but how easy would it be for Lockheed Martin to just do it themselves? Do you guys have any IP or patents on it?
Yeah, we are actually applying a provisional patent. So our mechanism is kind of different from Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin is trying to make the workers' tasks totally easy, but we are just concentrating just to transfer its body weight to the ground. So we are not concentrating to make this more full task. We are not making it more complex. We are trying to minimalize the design so that it's feasible and affordable.
I can see the value of this in radiology or operating room surgery.
Exactly. So those are revenue streams which are like, so currently we're just capping this target market, but future would be like surgeons, long-standing surgeons who do operations in the theater. It can be cashiers at Kroger. So people who do standing jobs is a huge market, so to be capped.
So I understand that it has a lot of values in the manufacturing industry, but me coming from manufacturing industry is my background. So the first thing what I would consider is the ergo assessment as well as the safety. For instance, it's a fire, would they be able to run out?
Exactly.
That's the first thing. And the second thing is like, would there be a trip and fall hazard because of that? Because when you're talking about all big trees, like everywhere, like there's a lot of motion involved throughout the production line. So how is that feasible there? If that's your market of where you want to sell your product, these are the challenges I think to me.
Yeah, exactly. So we thought about it. So ideally we want the worker to run with the device. That's our design constraint for the next version. But with the current version, he'll be able to move around the workplace. He'll be able to pick and place tools. So he can walk around the workplace. As you said, during an emergency, we're trying to figure out whether we need a safety mechanism like a emergency exit button where it just removes off, or so we're just brainstorming ideas of how to develop in the second product, and we've already considered that because when we meet with the stakeholders, we found that that's a major issue in the manufacturing industry. We are iterating on that aspect.
How do you compare yourself to wearable posture devices? So there are these companies like Upright, they sell these small devices that you can put in your bag. So you do not mention that in your competitor. Is that really truly your competitor?
Yeah, but I don't think, for example, long-standing is different from providing a feedback from bad posture. So for example, stooping is a problem, as you said. If you stoop, it obviously causes some moment in your back and creates back pain. So those kind of devices which you're talking about just vibrate so that you stand in a straight posture. But our device is for the lower body, so where you transfer your whole body weight to the ground. So it's like a chairless chair concept where you just move around the workplace, and when you want to sit, you just lean on the device. So that's just a feedback device, but this will actually perform the task of transferring your load off your feet.
So I've worked in a fair number of manufacturing plants myself, and a lot of the plant managers tend to source things like safety goggles and hearing devices and everything from sort of a set of distributors rather from the manufacturers themselves. Have you approached those distributors or suppliers as being sort of your go-to-market rather than going direct to the manufacturers?
Yeah, so actually our go-to-market strategy currently is through consortiums like NCMS, where they actually commercialize technology and they reach out directly to mass manufacturers because they have industry experts in time and they've already implemented like a Lockheed Martin exoskeleton in manufacturing industry. So they are well-established industry connections. So we are kind of using them as a go-to-market strategy. NCMS is one, and another is like the ergonomic conferences, which where every mass manufacturer has a safety and health department. So all those ergonomics look out for new technology in those ergonomics conferences. So we are trying to, next year in March 2018, there is an IASC ergonomics conference where we are trying to go and exhibit our products. So that's our ideal scenario, so we can interface with the business.
One more question. Have you thought about the industrial design and production of like different sizes? So, do you have to have 12 versions, and are you getting any customer feedback on how they feel when they wear it, like just almost the look and feel of the device?
Yeah, so that's our current work, and that's what we are trying to figure out through some testing. User acceptance is major, as you said. Will they wear a device? Will they even, will it have a market potential? Is very crucial. So we're trying to increase that usability aspect in our design. Of course, we are testing with those metrics as well, so we can have a conversation. Thanks a lot.
Our last pitch of the evening is a pitch for TechArb, where a number of the companies today, the student accelerator that they've been through. Arjun is going to tell us about TechArb, which, as I said, is the University of Michigan Student Venture Accelerator. Empowers entrepreneurial students to bring their ideas to life through an intensive, very intensive, hands-on experience. You're good to go. So tell us all about TechArb.
There it is.
So hi everyone, my name is Arjun. I'm a program assistant at TechArb and I've been here for just over a year. And like was just mentioned, we are a student venture accelerator at the University of Michigan. And so basically TechArb is a joint venture between the Center for Entrepreneurship at the University of Michigan and the Zell Lurie Institute. And above are some of the logos from teams in our past 3 cohorts. And the way we like to think about TechArb is it's basically an out-of-the-classroom training ground for student ventures to build and launch their startups through a highly structured, highly intensive program that spans anywhere from 3 to 4 months. So this is an overview of what we offer our student startups. And starting with the workspace, we provide modern amenities in our workspace. And something that I really like about what we have at TechArb is the space is very flexible. Pretty much one of the first things I noticed when I came in is that everything's on wheels, so everything's constantly moving and fitting to meet our startup needs. In addition to that, we offer our teams tools and toys, and so really any gadgets or gizmos that they need for their startups to sort of accommodate them and help them move forward in the program. And then finally, we're very lucky to be placed next to Menlo Innovations and the Startup Garage. And so we have, our student startups often have the opportunity to go over to Menlo, engage them in workshops, but also help build out their community outside of TechArb with the Startup Garage and people at Menlo. In addition to that, we guarantee each of our teams $1,000 upon completion of the program. That money is tied to completing milestones that are present throughout the program, but also given that it's $1,000 per team, we try to position our teams and put our teams in the best position so that they can qualify for external funding, and most do so with over 80% of teams getting external funding. One of the biggest cornerstones of TechArb, and really I think most student programs, is mentorship. And so our mentors are industry professionals who have been in the startup space, had that experience, and most of them are also alumni of the university and local in Ann Arbor so that they're accessible to our teams. I'll actually be talking about this a little bit more later. And so this is really the slide that encompasses what we do throughout our Accelerator program. We have twice weekly all-hands meetings, which our student teams that just presented can attest to. Those meetings are supplemented by a weekly office hour session. And during the twice weekly all-hands meetings, we have workshops and seminars so that our startup teams can learn about best practices across all phases of starting their business. And we also encourage our teams to engage in partner programs so that they can go outside of TechArb and learn about best practices from external sources as well to create a holistic education. And here are the 5 phases of our programming. The first one is Prime, which teams really think about where they want to position their company in the market, where they want to see their company go, and visioning with that. The next one is Discover, so customer discovery, discovering mentors, and learning more about their space. Build, building out to MVP, and then Launch, which is sort of thinking about next steps. So that might be scaling up or going to market or going to another accelerator program as well. And in the middle of all of these is the Connect phase, which is pretty much one of the biggest parts of the entire program, which is really where we encourage our students to continue networking throughout the accelerator program and make sure that they're trying to open as many doors as possible while they're at TechArb. Looking at our community, again, this is really what makes TechArb what it is. Community is a big piece of TechArb because, as many of you can probably attest to, it's hard to launch a startup, but as a student as well, it just becomes that much harder. And so really, our student startups are able to lean on their community both within TechArb and within the Ann Arbor entrepreneurial space, which is something that has proved to be a great resource in our program. And so looking at teams that have come through TechArb, we had about 200 teams to date. Means about 700 students have come through, and we average around 8 to 12 teams per year, with 4 teams in our summer cohort for this past year. And looking at the makeup of the community, industry, these are the 4 sectors of industry that are largely represented in our cohorts. By no means is this exclusively what is seen in our cohorts. I think in my time, looking at maybe 3 cohorts, I've seen up to 8 industries at least. And then academics, We have 13 of 19 schools at U of M represented, mostly from business, engineering, information, and LSA. And then we've had mostly around 60% male and 40% female participation, as well as half and half for graduate and undergraduate participation. These are some of the numbers surrounding how our accelerator participants have done post-graduation. And then our ask of all of you today is basically to come hang out with us. And so we have our prototype day for our teams in the summer cohort next week. That's be 4 to 6 at TechArb. It's basically a sneak peek of what's going to happen at demo day, and then we have the actual demo day August 31st from 4 to 6 p.m. in Hatcher Graduate Library, where our teams will showcase what they've been working on all summer and get a chance to interact with the community in Ann Arbor and beyond. This is the RSVP link below. And then our second ask, like I said before, I'll be coming back to mentorship. We're looking for mentors for our fall cohort that starts in November. And if you're interested in mentoring at TechArb or in that cohort, please come talk to me or go to this link below. And there's a video here, but I kind of ran out of time.
Thanks for the overview. I've got some questions about TechArb. Who is eligible to join? You probably said that earlier, but I'll repeat that.
So as a team or just join the community?
To join as a team.
Okay, as a team, you have to be a student at the university, either undergraduate or graduate. And basically, the only restraints on that is that when you graduate, you have kind of the summer to still join. But other than that, you have to be a student.
Cool. Other
Do show the video.
questions?
You can do that as well.
Is it modeled off any other programs, other university, or where do you guys take your kind of inspiration from when it comes to how to develop the program?
Yeah, so we look at a lot of our peers that are also doing the same thing at universities across the nation. We try to talk as much as possible with other accelerator programs and share best practices, as well as professional accelerator programs. Because really what we're trying to do is prepare our teams to take that next step for when they graduate, both our program and university. And so, yeah, we look across as many accelerators as we can find, and we're always talking, discussing, and iterating our program to make it better as we go.
I'm just going to keep asking you questions until somebody else does. You said 85 or 80% of the companies get funded. Can you elaborate on that? Like so far as like angel investors, how much money, what are some of the success stories of somebody that's made it further?
Yeah, so I mean, over 80% of our teams get external funding, and that ranges from investments, but mostly I think we push a lot of competitions. I think TechArb participants in the room can probably attest to that. We push competing a lot, and a lot of our teams do pretty well at competition. I believe we've had 40% of teams register as finalists in these competitions. And so it comes through a variety, but I'd say a lot of it, because teams are so early on, are coming through competitions. But as they progress, we've seen teams receive investment. I believe we had five teams.
I saw Nurable on that list, which is quite a success story on its way, right?
Absolutely. Nurable is actually before my time.
Okay.
But yes, no, they're doing fantastic. They're really making waves. There's a pun for it. But yeah, that's definitely one of the success stories. I mean, Kulisha did very well at TechArb, and they're on their way, obviously doing very well, as you just heard. And then we actually have two teams in the Decide cohort, Finder Ditto and Gwydion, who are here tonight. So TechArb kind of, over the years, especially the past year or so, has really been doing its best to maximize achievement amongst its teams.
Well, and there's a reference to Decide, so I might as well plug Decide. So next month we have all Decide Accelerator companies presenting, a lot of them sitting right over here. That is another accelerator program in Ann Arbor, but you don't have to be a student. You don't have to be from Ann Arbor. You just have to come here for the accelerator. So you'll hear more about that next month. Question?
Do you have a built-in kind of archive of all of the firms that have been launched from there, or even, I guess I'm trying to, In conversations with Rich at Menlo, do you ever point out that you were there before he was? Do you ever bring that in to a conversation?
Much.
Definitely.
He definitely wasn't there.
Not me personally. But yeah, learning about the teams that were in TechArb since its inception in 2009 has been an ongoing project for us. TechArb was brought under the management, I guess, of its current director, Ryan Worley, who I'm standing in for right now, I think in 2015 or 2016. So it's only really been kind of regulated or managed by the university for a couple of years now. And for the teams that have come through, well, it has been. We have documented those teams and have data for them. But looking at the kind of 7 years before that and trying to see where those teams have gone and what they're doing right now, it's a project we're working on.
I would think it would be very helpful to the new guys.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to call that a wrap. Thanks so much. All right, so you're not out of here just yet. If you want to make an announcement, as I mentioned earlier, community announcements, you have a meetup you want to plug, you're hiring, you're interested of what kind of jobs are out there, you're looking for a co-founder, everything is welcome. Plug your company. You showed up here, you should get to say something. So if you can line up over here. And while people are doing that, I have a request to, who's going out to Pizza House tonight? So after this event, a bunch of us will be going over to Pizza House. Spark is picking up the tab on pizza, but in order for me to give them a head count, I need you to raise your hand and leave it up for the next 30 seconds while I take a picture. Okay. Free pizza.
360 picture.
Yeah, I gotta do a piano. So I send this photo to Phil Coleman, who's calling in our order, and he gets to count every one of these hands. Not me. Cool. All right. Kick us off with announcements.
So I'm Larry Cooperman. I've been a longtime resident of Ann Arbor, a longtime supporter of the tech community here. I'm also one of the co-founders of A2 Game Designers Meetup. We have a meetup that meets the third Thursday of every month. We've been meeting in 2 days. If you like games, if you like pizza, then you should be coming to us. We support a lot of the companies in this area. A2 Game Designers is for companies that are making or people that are looking to make or get into the games industry, which is a $115 billion a year industry last year. So there's a lot of money in that. We've had some of the presenters have been, Whitney was an early presenter of ours and will be coming back again in September to do a presentation on their VR stuff. We have another VR person in the audience also be coming in September. This Thursday we have Spellbound, which is a locally based company, and we have Brideview, which is not a games company, but uses the Unity technology, so it's kind of games related. We're pretty open to that. Again, it's Thursday, 7 o'clock at Spark East, which is over in Ypsilanti in Michigan Avenue. It is free, and there's pizza.
Hi, my name is Russell Schindler, and I run a tech meetup group in Traverse City called TC New Tech. You can look it up at tcnewtech.org. It's actually a very large group. We get about 150 to 200 people every month. Roger was there last month. And we get about 10 to 15 millionaires and 1 billionaire at every meeting, so tons of people are getting funded out of there. So I would encourage you, if you have a tech startup, you want to get in front of a good audience, tcnewtech.org, and sign up there. And also, my company is an environmental sampling company. We've got software for collecting environmental samples and then ultimately doing the reporting to the various regulatory agencies. We're hiring a Python and React developer, so if you want to live in Traverse City and make good money, sampleserve.com.
And love the Joey's.
Hey, I'm Craig Albert with Dreamgate VR. We're a VR entertainment company is sort of the thing we're going with. We are starting up a VR wireless multiplayer, it's too many words, free roaming VR arcade experience where 4 players hang out in the same space. They got VR backpacks on, they can run around the space. It's sort of like what laser tag, like a dream of laser tag, except you could be, you know, in a different world and battling robots and zombies and all that stuff. So we think it's super exciting. So we're doing a public event, we're showing it off so people can come by, because the biggest thing with VR is that people really don't understand how cool it is or what makes it great until you put it on their face and they run around, they go, oh my God, oh, that's super great. So our goal is to get people from the community to show up, try it out, and see if they're as excited as we are, and we can start a conversation with you guys and maybe see where things go. And I got invitations, so just bug me. August 23rd, from 6 to 9:30 p.m.
Where?
At the Stone Chalet. Thanks.
I'll also throw out, if anyone can echo their announcements on the comments page for this event, that'll go out to everyone, and feel free to write stuff on the whiteboard. That's welcome too.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm here for a survey, just to ask everyone a question. And I know I had limited time, so I put it in writing. I'd like to ask everyone, by a show of hand, and please keep your hands up, if you would consider cost-sharing partnership a good idea. Specifically, sharing the cost of advertisement with other business owners. This question is for everyone, by the way, whether you own a business or not. So if you have limited financial resources, would you consider partnering up with another business owner to split the cost of advertisement? For example, share the cost of 6 digital billboards with 2 other companies, and you each have 2 digital billboards with which to advertise your products or services. By a show of hand? And if you don't mind, I'd like to. So, not very
And these are local businesses primarily, just based on what you said?
It can be.
Okay.
It can be local or international or national.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter what size. Thank you.
Most creative ask.
All right, hey everyone, Steve Sherman, local chicken farmer as you heard, but I also run another meetup group, Ann Arbor Lean Startup Circle. You heard of a lot of terms like customer discovery, minimum viable product. We kind of teach, coach, emphasize, hold people accountable for processes like that. And next week, August 24th, we have a special guest, Barbara, for pitch polishing and coaching and general entrepreneurial communication. Anything you want to add to that?
We will cover different types of pitches, what goes in each type of pitch, and there will be a little bit on delivery as well, about an hour.
Yep.
And everybody will get to develop a 1-sentence pitch and deliver it.
Sorry. So search Ann Arbor Lean Startup Circle on Meetup. That's the channel we use to communicate everything. And then side note, I'm also looking for someone that's an electrician for a startup I'm working on in the electric vehicle space. So come find me for chickens, Ann Arbor Lean Startup Circle, or if you are or know an electrician. Thanks.
Chicken feed.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Pat Raban. I am an alumni of U of M. Was here about 6 years ago. Co-founder of Echolection, which effectively is like an Instagram, but for quotes and phrases, effectively. So it's a database and a platform for you to find quotes and phrases and kind of like via author or category, and you can save them and categorize them in a customizable profile. And it's also a platform, we kind of came up with it, my partner and I came up with it in college because we were constantly coming up with like phrases and idioms that just kind of were like either becoming inside jokes and we constantly reference. So the building block of the app is an echo, like you said earlier, so something that's repeated exactly. So our hashtag is echo that. And we're looking for investors pretty soon, but right now we're actually looking for developers to bring the technology stack in-house. We just launched 1.0 on Google Play Store for Android, and we're 2.2 now for iOS, iPad and iPhone. So we're looking for some talent on the developer side to try and bring that local, and so we can have some more oversight control over that.
What's it called again?
Echolection, a collection of echoes.
Echolection.
Echolection.
All right. Cool.
So I left some contact cards up here. I'm Pat. Chris was unable to make it today, but
yeah,
reach out if you know anybody or if you are a developer. Thank you.
Echolection.
Yeah. Cool.
Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Raymond. I am with the Center for Digital Engagement at Eastern Michigan University, and I wanted to tell you about some upcoming events that we have going on. The first is with TrueJob on September 15th, and that's going to be about their business and how they're using content to boost their sales and marketing. We have some other events also on October 13th, Content Oro, and on November 17th we'll have our digital marketing workshop, and we'll close out with Shapelog on December 8th. Now all of these events are relevant to startups and focus on marketing and boosting your sales. So if you have any questions, you can come see me. I also have a flyer, so hope to see you all there.
Hey everybody, my name is Torben. I just moved from San Francisco, Silicon Valley. I've been there for a couple of years. I'm in the automotive space, in the car business specifically, 10 to 15 years doing that, and I've got a startup. What we're doing is, it's called Script.ai, and what we do is we use natural language processing to actually voice to text to interpret inbound sales calls, messages and emails, and then translating them and then scripting out a response, generally in real time. So it's pretty like, what's the best price on a car? We then hit the customer back. We give an agent, basically it's an augmented AI. So the reason I'm mentioning that is I'm brand new to the area here, even though I grew up here. Went to Northern Michigan University, I have a background in economics and in trading, in electronics, algorithmic trading. But looking to just interface with people, anybody in automotive space or in the sales space. Love to talk to you and make your acquaintance. Thanks.
Thanks for introducing yourself too. I love hearing new people come to town, and I'm sure you'll meet some people tonight. So I only have one announcement, sort of follow up last week. So there's a ton of events that happened last week with Paul Singh and friends in town. One of the investors that traveled down here is Matt Brooks. Matt is like the startup guy in Port Huron, Michigan. Yes, there is a scene in Port Huron. Blue Water Startups is the group, and they're putting on their own startup school on Saturday, September 30th. And this is open to kind of everyone. So think about like what you got here in an hour and 15 minutes all day on a Saturday. I'm going to go up. Paul Singh and the entourage will be there. So if you're interested in it, I posted a link on the comments for the event this evening, and there's still some early bird ticket pricing. So check that out, September 30th.
And the student pricing is less.
Correct, yeah, it's super friendly. I mean, it's like under, it's like $80 or something for founders and like $20 for students. So pretty friendly for a full day of talks and everything. You can see the agenda online. Our next event for A2 New Tech. Third Tuesday of the month, September 15th, we will have Decide, Accelerator, and a number of those companies, some which have pitched in the past, some that are brand new. So I encourage you all to come out to that. If you want to pitch your company or you want to get your friend to pitch their company, email organizers@a2newtech.org, and I'm filling up slots for October. Still, I think I have 1 or 2 commits so far. We'll see you at Pizza House. Hope you enjoyed tonight. Thank you again, everybody, for coming out.